ために最も必要なもの、それは運です。
Everybody, and welcome to a new edition of the Project Webtoons podcast, coming at you again one more time with the latest, hottest in the Webtoons all over. As always, of course, it's your big man, it's Sleepy.
And this is Ark.
Hey, Ark, what's going on? It looks brighter there than usual.
Yeah, because we're not doing this in the middle of the fucking night.
Oh, that's impressive. I'm glad that we decided to change. Plus, we'll be more alert, maybe. You won't, be half asleep or at least going to sleep when we start our talks. So, we'll see how more alert it is this time.
After I've taken a nap, so.
It always helps as long as you've had a nap, yeah. I mean, I try to catch you when I can. But, hey, thanks everyone for joining us again for another episode here. As always, before we start off the show, definitely please click that like button as well as hit that subscribe bell so you can be notified of when the newest episodes come out. Of course, as you can see, we don't have our homie with us again today, but he is out and about, and he'll be back with us for the next one, if not another episode here showing up shortly. But yeah, we definitely got some things to discuss. I saw we got 5 new chapters of Inso's Law all at once.
Something like that.
Something like that, I believe. New chapters of beginning. Actually, only one new chapter for beginning after the end. Surprisingly, new ones for Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, Solo Leveling, Let's Play, Peerless Dad, and many more. So, you ready to run down some of these?
No. Okay.
I mean, you always have a choice. You have a keyboard in front of you, or did you do something to the keyboard, just like you did to the camera?
No.
Okay. Well, then we'll go ahead and we'll start off then. Let's actually start off with one that only came with one chapter. Let's begin with beginning after the end. How about that?
Okay.
I know that with last time we got a more or less nothing but an exposition dump explaining how the white cores are made, as well as the
No.
Are they
not how the white cores are made? It's specifically how the lancers are made.
Well, I mean, all the lancers are white cored, aren't they? That's the
Yeah,
highest core.
But that doesn't mean that this is the only way, though. That do you understand that? Like, there's a difference.
Okay, yes. I guess you could say that. But so far, they haven't run into anybody else at that same kind of power level. But regardless, we at least know how the lances get to the white core level.
Yes.
That was the explanation. We also got introduced to the gods. Or the discussion of the gods of the world. We also had a brief show up with Tess being basically power leveled almost to what was it, silver?
Yes.
Yep, she got power leveled and is I guess essentially now stronger than Arthur, at least in terms of raw power, but yeah, this new chapter continued on more or less with after Arthur got a message from an unknown person, and you thought it was the old man, and I believe so did our homie. I thought it was the old man as well.
I mean, it's not wrong if it's the old man.
I mean, is it though? Because I mean, he doesn't. Outside of what he did for Arthur, he didn't really seem like he was there to lead him to any other new knowledge. Especially with the way that, like you said, you were complaining about the fact the shop appeared and then the shop disappeared, and
my point is still there. This, right now, what's happening? It doesn't alleviate the fact that hey, I was just there. Yeah, you could have just the shop could have still have been there, and
just been clean.
Just giving me the answers there. But no, we have to
Well, it doesn't, because it wasn't the shopkeeper who sent him the message. It was the cat.
No, it was the cat that was in the shop, though. The point is still there.
When have any of the spirit animals that we've seen so far ever given information when it should be or needed? Come on. Even from Arthur first meeting Grandma, even she didn't give him all the answers to anything. And she clearly knew more than she was letting on.
Yeah, but the point here is that the cat was going to give him answers anyways here. Like, the fact was, like, he went back there, and then there was like, oh, there's no shop. And then I have to leave you a message to go to another location where I was going to give you information anyways when you were obviously there, and I left you a message there when, I mean, there's not like this. It's not like there's anyone following him, or like he's not being tracked, or like.
Well, okay. We don't know that. Do we know that? I mean, come on. The whole thing showing off is that the school is pretty much being monitored.
If that was the case, that he was being monitored, then the shop would not have been there in the first place.
Well, why would the shop not be there in the first place? It was in an unknown location.
Yeah, but again, that means like
he stumbled upon it. He didn't find it.
If he goes back there a second time, why would they like the first reason? If the reason for the second time is not for not being there, it should have been the same as the reason as the first time, but it's not. It's just arbitrarily. It's just like I'm just arbitrarily going somewhere else now instead of like organically. It makes sense that like it's in a different location.
The shop just has to leave and appear somewhere else. I mean, do magic shops need a reason to do what they do though? Really?
In this case, yes. Like, organically, as the story is saying, yes.
I don't know about that one. But, either way.
If the fact was, like, if there was actually, like, actual some time in reading, and it took some time before, like, we went back, and it was like, oh, you were the cat from the shop. Cool, great.
If they're, okay, yeah. Maybe if the instance like the next day.
Yeah, this was like the next 2 days, basically. And it was like, I don't understand why you're making this more complicated. I came back to that location already. Yes. Why are you asking me to go somewhere else when you were obviously safe enough the first location?
Okay, I may agree to that level of, why did you not do it then and there if you were just gonna talk to me a day later? But, yeah.
No, you had to leave me on a cat and mouse chase with a note when I'm like, all right. I already came back here. You knew I was coming back here because you left me the thing that you gave me the first time here again. Like, you're like, oh, so I'm like, all right. The only person who would know that gave me this was someone in that shop. Yes. Why are you making this more difficult than it should be? I don't know why.
Because it's part of the story. Everything must be a little bit more dumb for no reason, as you know. But either way, so
and then he's going to like what, the Elf Kingdom again, right? Because that's why he gets through. Because like, oh wait, don't worry, I have the badge of the royal family that gets me through. And they're like, oh shit. And then that means this the elf deity, and like the elf deity obviously was already been watching him beforehand, and then just didn't do anything. Just like left him alone, and like now, like I'm like, you know you had a perfectly good chance before, like when he was there for 3 fucking years to give him any sort of information, and you decided not to.
Well,
and now we're here.
Okay. If you're gonna complain on that, then you also have to complain on the fact that the royal family or the grandfather didn't tell him about
I did
like that.
I did.
But you have to like
him not revealing any of the stuff made no sense because like it's like it's not like he didn't already trust our main character here as like basically the new son-in-law. Like he already like he's like already treats him like family, and like, oh, I just didn't tell you this information until now when people started dying. I'm like, no, you told me before.
At that point, it's like, well, this isn't information you need to know because people aren't dying yet. This is still royal family secrets.
No, you should be telling them so people don't fucking die.
Well, okay, you would tell the strongest person this information, but he's still just a kid. They all treat him as such. Why would you tell him unknown needed information at that time?
Like a fucking kid.
Okay, I know that, but the characters don't. I know not to treat him like a kid, but the characters don't know to not treat him like a kid.
No, they know not to treat him like a fucking kid. They like that's the problem here. Where like it goes back and forth. Where they're like, all right, we know that he's this powerful, and like we know that he's this knowledgeable, and all this stuff, and we don't treat him like a kid because he acts like a very mature person. And then immediately at the same time, then they're like, yeah, but we should also treat him like a fucking kid. And then I'm like, all right, you have to make up your fucking mind, all right? You can't just be like, well,
depending on the
like
ping-pongy situation, you know, I mean.
And then here we didn't. And I'm like, it's like, I trust you to not treat you as a kid enough to be like, I trust to give you the life of my granddaughter. Like, that's literally what it is. It's like, I give you the life of my granddaughter. You take care of her now. Okay, cool. But I'm not going to give you this information that's really important that can help save her life. And I'm like, I feel like
I'm not going to give you this information that's not important at this point because nothing has brought it up that it would need to be. I mean, he also, at that point, didn't know who the Lances were, or even what they were, or even existed at that point. So it would have been useless information.
But again, it's not like the grandfather didn't already suspect that, like, he's like, oh yeah, hey, your little dragon pal there, it's probably a deity. Like, it's not like he didn't suspect that, like, even if that wasn't, like, he didn't suspect that until, like, the last 2 years of their training or something. He'd be like, oh, shit. This is more, and like I should probably tell him because it's really important that he knows these things. If he didn't have to talk about the lenses, he could just like, oh yeah, just so you know that there are actual deities out there, and like, and your dragon there is part of it. Like, there's no.
I think the idea. Okay, I think the problem is the way that it's being given to us. It's more being told to us than it is being told to Arthur, because I probably wouldn't have enjoyed this if all of this was just front loaded at the beginning of the story to just a character who has no reason to know it at that point. So the way it's probably being spilled out is probably more your issue there than it is for me. But yeah, I can see why it would come to that point. But also, yeah, I probably would not have enjoyed that as much as like, all right, here's a bunch of random inspiration that will be helpful in the future, but probably not for like 50 or 60 chapters from now.
I think letting at least Arthur know that his little dragon is a deity thing would have been like just enough. Like the problem.
I mean, they could have said that your little monster is more special than you think. Maybe a hint at something would have probably been better. But
all I need is to like ease in the information. But this is not easing in any of the information. Where it's like, hey, you could have at least said something earlier. Just say something. You don't have to like give me the entire deal beforehand.
This is more an issue of how to handle giving information to the character, where either I don't know if it's between the writer or the storyboard artist, like having a problem with like how they want to delve out the info that's also filling out things for us. And yeah, and that's where I can feel like that problem is coming in, because yeah, they ping pong back and forth between characters treating Arthur like a child and then treating him like a full grown adult.
Yes.
Which even so, they like, maybe we have the whole chapter of the characters complaining to Arthur about him treating everybody improperly as their age, because, oh yeah, I'm in my head and technically mentally, you know, this a 70, 80-year-old man. So I don't know.
But they don't have a problem with like, hey, we know you're like 15 years old or something, but we're gonna make you a teacher. And I was like, I'm sorry, did you just give me responsibility of all of these children? Yes. But you won't give me information that can help me save these people's lives. No. I feel like
he didn't. Okay. Clearly, it's because he didn't have the blue key in order to unlock that knowledge. That's the problem.
Shut up. That's so stupid. Oh.
That's all it was.
It's just that there's like I said, there's just so much that's like, okay, beforehand, great. But then you get to some point, you're like, okay. But this part here makes no sense with how we're doing this. That's all it is. Again, if you just said something earlier, just a little bit, like, you don't have to give the entire exposition, and I would have been fine, alright? At least say something so, like, it doesn't feel like now it's an ass pool and you don't know what you're writing. It's like, oh, hey, at least you knew what direction you were going with before.
Well,
okay? That's all.
This is also what happens when you don't have editors.
This is what happens when it feels like you didn't write out, like, the storyboard or something.
I mean, a lot of them don't.
Know where your story starts and where it wants to end and how to get there, please.
No, go backwards. Some great stories have started that way. We started with the ending and then we just filled everything in backwards.
No,
it totally worked. But either way, okay.
The greatest example of that was Grunla God. We're like, hey guys, the very first 2 minutes is the ending where we want to get to, and then they never get there. Like, yeah, we just ignored that now, guys. That never happened. We just kept on going, and then we're like, oh, we're just gonna make our own ending at the here now. It's fine. That first 2 minutes you ever saw the first episode, just ignore it, all right? It never happened.
Well, either way, since we're way the hell off topic. All right, so we got the note, we figured out who it's from, and the cat is, of course, a deity, at least the elf deity, and starts basically discussing with Arthur some things, more or less, more than anything, that obviously he's gonna at least help Arthur, either give him power that's gonna get him to closer to the White Core, or something else that we don't know about that's secretly going to make him more powerful. Correct? Maybe. Do you just have that feeling? Yes?
No, remember, I've already read it ahead. I know what's going on.
Okay, that's right. All right, so we got to that part of the story, and then it moves over to Good Sky, who she's in a meeting with a bunch of the council members, or at least it's not the student body.
Again, I'm not going to reveal any information to anyone else. You know, hey, let me just let you know that this Arthur kid is this special for this reason. No, let me not tell any of you guys, so that we can't assign anyone to help protect him. You know, but instead, I'm just going to hide his identity.
No, because I got this.
Yeah, because I got this, right?
See, I got this. This is a Dax situation. I got this.
Yeah, right.
I can take on the whole empire. Yeah. So, Good Sky meets up with the council members. They invite her somewhere. She basically says she's got some other plans to do. Walks into a forest and gets ambushed by a bunch of unknown assailants. Does take them all out. Takes some damage, but not before, doing a little bit of interrogation. And one of the assailants basically calls her a traitor. And during the scuffle, she gets struck in the back. And we see at the end that she has the same tattoos as the student that flipped out and tried to kill Arthur had. So now we get to the part where it's like, hey, you knew exactly what was going on. You know exactly what this is, and you're choosing not to tell anybody, actually. So essentially, this is the WEBTOON version of that part from Doctor Strange. Essentially, what it is.
I already saw the future. I know exactly where it's going to go, but I'm not going to tell you anything. And you're like, I'm sorry?
Get down.
You said you saw the future, yes. And you know exactly where it was going to end, yes. But you didn't tell me, no. I don't understand why you would not tell me.
Because suspense? Question mark? Maybe.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why we were shown this, and it's like, okay, so I mean, if anything, it just proved everything else for you on the whole.
The thing is, they could have just not shown us the tattoo.
No, they could have not. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why we're showing it, because all it did was just basically give you all the weight you needed about the complaint. With like, oh, so you totally know what completely what's going on. You know who's behind it. You know you don't know what they're doing, but you know that it's not something good, and you're not only not telling Arthur, but you're also not telling anybody else that is supposedly your colleagues. So none of the other teachers, none of the guilds, nothing. They're just kind of letting this happen.
Everyone's just gonna die. It's fine, guys.
I mean, a lot of people are probably gonna die. I don't think it'll be everybody, but a lot of people, and a lot of people that probably could have been, you know, spared a death just because of, I don't want anyone to know that I'm also a practitioner.
Oh no, all these people died. What could I have done to have stopped it?
I don't want anyone to know that I'm also an evil monster too.
I definitely knew that this kid told me yesterday to not come to school because he was gonna bring a gun, but I didn't tell anyone at all. What? Why? Why did you not tell anyone this kid was gonna bring a gun? I mean,
it's a kid. Why would I believe it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That was just a weird bit of reveal to like, oh, so, all right. So my guess is that in a couple of either a chapter or so or later, shit will go exactly as badly downhill.
I am only fine with this if it turns out to be like, good guy suddenly looks around and is like, everything went according to plan. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine with that.
she turns out to be the villain all along.
Yeah, like, right? Like, that would be the only way this would be fine if no one is saying this kind of writing. Because any other way makes no sense. I think if she wants to be a good guy, then she has to be a good guy and like try to prevent what's going to happen. But if you're not going to try to prevent what happened, you're like, it was part of the plan all along. And I'm like, oh, okay.
You've tricked me. Well done.
That's the only way this works if you're going to go this way. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't know why you're hiding this information, like logically speaking.
Well, unless there is literally a scene that's her explaining exactly why she didn't say anything, which I'm sure there probably will be, but it'll probably be very flimsy.
I didn't know who might or might not have been a spy. Yeah, but that's irrelevant of the point, because now you, like, if there were spies, then they would have already done the same thing anyways. Like, you're not stopping anything, though.
I couldn't trust anyone. Everyone was probably against me, so I decided to do it on my own. But you left a bunch of innocent people to be needlessly slaughtered. Well, you know, you break a few eggs. That's kind of how it goes. All right. Yeah, so that was all from chapter, what was that, 127, I believe.
Was it 127?
I believe so. I believe that was. We only got 125. Sorry, we only got one chapter this week for the series. I didn't see any announcement or a message from the two stating like if there was just a delay or something came up. So we'll have to check back in later. Maybe we'll see at some point a couple days after we even put up this recording. Maybe we'll do a quick like hotspot to see if it shows up. But either way, yeah.
Knowing our luck, it'll be like as we're doing it.
Yeah, as we're doing it, it'll just drop out, you know, because it's not like that hasn't happened before. All right. We'll go ahead. We'll move on to our next one for now. Definitely everyone leave some comments down below about that chapter. Tell us what you guys thought about that reveal. I should go check with some of our friends and see what they think, especially with JC, because I know he's already been on that train of just everyone is stupid, and I don't know if this is like been helping his mentality with this book. But either way, we'll see how that plays out.
I'm not expecting like intelligent people, all right? I'm just expecting you have to be at least
competence.
You have to at least be competent enough to be in the position you're in, all right? Like, if Good Sky was not like the headmaster, I would be like, oh, okay, fine, all right. She doesn't have a position that like that makes her look like, oh, she's supposed to have been smart, all right? Okay. That's the same problem with like I have like the grandfather not revealing things. I'm like, all right, you guys are in positions of power and like ranking where like you should have a level of competency that I'm expecting. All right. Even you know what? Strangely enough, I feel like the most competent person at one point here has been the king, even though he was like he was a royal. He was like, hey, give me that dragon. You know, give me your fucking pet. At least at some point, the king was like, all right, we'll just give up on it, right?
Yeah.
He was like, all right, fine, we'll just give up on it. You're absolutely. I get what you're saying that I wouldn't sell my son, so I get that you wouldn't sell your dragon. But I get what you're saying.
Well,
at least
yeah.
that it may have took a bit, but at least
he got to that. He got to that level.
Everyone else here is not like that. Everyone else is like, we're in positions of power, and no one learns or no one's competent enough to figure out what's going on. Because I get it. I get it. Good Sky not revealing it once, okay? But like, you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, it didn't work the first time. I don't know why you're still hiding information now, though.
Well,
why
I mean,
are you still hiding information?
if anything, it's gonna be something where this is a shame thing, and it will get me removed from my position because I'll somehow be associated. I can probably give the old man a little bit of a pass because his position of power is more like I'm the father of the current king, so no one has to come to me for decisions. I'm just really strong, and I was the previous leader, but I don't make any of the decisions anymore, you know? So it's basically, I get to be Master Roshi. I get to do what I want, I have a lot of power, but no one really has to, like, listen to me. So, yeah, either way. We'll go ahead, we'll move on from that one. All right, next one up here, someone with hopefully, in your eyes, a little bit more competence in Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. You want to go ahead and regale us with this latest chapter?
Do you want me to tell you that I do not remember what happened?
Do you not remember what happened?
No.
Are you serious?
Yes. I feel like this chapter was very, like... Was
it that quick for you, or just that, like, since it was like mostly all, it was basically all dialogue, all talk.
It was all dialogue. It was just between the main character and also the main character of the main
character of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were just talking back and forth about like, oh, how we're going to solve this problem, but like, you stole this power from me, but you can't even use it. It was worthless. Why are we doing this then? And then, like, and that's all it was. Like, nothing actually happened.
I mean, nothing really did happen for it. It was more or less a bickering conversation.
It was a bickering of like, hey, you gonna kill me? And he looked at him like,
no.
Eventually,
maybe.
That's all it was.
Yeah, it was a reintroduction of their two dynamic personalities going at each other again, more than anything.
Which wasn't even needed, because like we know what their fucking dynamic is already.
We already know what their dynamic is, and we already have it between him and his other compatriot right now.
Hey bitch, so you're poisoned right now, and I'm trying to save you. And then we get dialogue as you're like, oh yeah, the reason why I tried this way this time and I got poisoned was because I tried to tell my lover from another timeline that, hey, this is the truth of the future, but she didn't take it because she was like, wait, you and me? No, that's not ever going to happen. So, and I was like, and then the main character, he was like, what the fuck do you think was going to happen? No one's going. If you don't believe me that I'm telling you what the future is, how the fuck is she going to believe you that you try to tell her what the future is?
Yes, just logic stacked on logic here. Yeah, so pretty much just with an all talk episode. I mean, most of it they were just running the entire time. Where were they having this dialogue? And simply because another calamity was basically underway, and the main character, or at least the main character of the story that they're in, is, oh yeah, like you said, he's poisoned and currently can't heal himself. So they're trying to now solve the problem of fixing him while also getting the calamity going, the calamity fixed. But we have to have this side bit of these two just arguing back and forth about, are you gonna kill me? No. Promise? No.
Yeah.
So yeah, just not too much to talk on this one all around, but still, I just wanted to get into that one just with the fact of like, well, at least this is a story with competence. I mean, they at least discussed it like, yeah, I don't trust you and I'll probably kill you. Well, I'll make a deal with you if you don't, and this is the logical reasons why. All
right. I won't kill you until after this part of the story, though. I'll give you that. And he was like, really? You're gonna give me like 2 stages? Yes. You get this much longer before I try to kill you. What? Why don't I just dump your fucking ass? Why am I even carrying you?
Why am I even carrying you? Do I really need you for this? I mean, it's not surprising. It's kind of how the main character's worked most of his entire position in the story. He basically makes like these more or less loaded deals with people in order to get his way. And mostly because he can break the system of the world, because he knows exactly all of the ins and outs of how the rules work for him and against him. So why not? So anything on that chapter that you can recall of interest?
Nothing else.
Nothing else crazy. I know it ended off
we get the return of our original gremlin, and then
yes,
and then that's nothing else special.
Yeah, not Beyond. I can't remember how to say his name, but yes, he reappears after a showering attack of arrows shows up, and he basically more. I'm surprised. Now I'm trying to remember what happened to him. He was pulled off for punishment?
Yeah, because he was messing with the channels because he was like basically interfering and like because remember he was like doing like moments where it's like, oh, it's a commercial break, and then all the basically gods and stuff were getting mad at him. So then he got pulled off the channel, and that's why there were a bunch of the administrators who came in to look, because they were like worried about the anomaly, which is the main character.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I
then,
was trying to remember.
And then the second level gremlins got pulled off because our main character here did something that he wasn't supposed to do, which destroy the throne. And by doing that, then like it throws the entire scenario off as to where the story is supposed to be at. Yeah. So then they're like, oh, well, obviously it wasn't the level 1 gremlins, it was the level 2 gremlins who were at fault.
Yeah.
And shit just keeps rolling uphill. So that's where we're at.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to remember exactly why he was pulled off. I didn't remember if it was because like the MC was doing so well when he shouldn't have, and that was causing some issues, or he was messing with the system in some way that the gods were being, interfered with, or at least upset that, this character was getting more or less seemingly more help than he should have. But yeah, either way, he's back. I don't know what this new triple team of just damage is gonna do going forward, especially since he didn't have access to the store essentially while he was gone, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so now he's got that back, so we'll have to see.
Because he wasn't doing anything to antagonize the second level gremlins.
Well, yeah, he wasn't doing anything to antagonize the administrator. Well, except when he broke the throne, and that pissed him the fuck off.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what this new duo will bring for us, since he's pretty much got everyone he needs on his team at this moment. Yeah. Well, I don't got anything else on at least that chapter. Or 2 chapters so far. Yeah, it's nothing too much else to bite down on. So we'll go ahead. We'll move on here to our next one.
It was a lot of exposition. It was a lot of exposition setting up a character we have not
met yet. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on to our next one here with 2 new chapters of Peerless Dad. Got some big changes, especially after the last couple of chapters with the loss of Ak and a few of his other brothers in the fight between the criminal syndicate and his own gang. Pops is now, well, he's no longer at least in trouble for going to killing the one kid. That's been resolved. And he more or less he said his goodbyes to Ak. Ak was able to rest off knowing that, you know, the rest of the troop was saved and he's back in town. But Dad's changed a lot from his journey, and clearly he's also learned a lot, as he's decided now in their newest chapters that he's going to be starting his own sect.
Yes.
Because he realized that the whole reason that the group even got into this mess was because they were more or less pawns for the second son of one of the other schools that was had promised them that they would get reinforcements in order to fight the crime syndicate, but they were just used to get rid of them and then also wash their hands of any dealings that they had. So he's decided to now use his own leverage from his time, you know, saving the kids and a few other good deeds to more or less speed his way probably past a few different barriers that would have normally come from him trying to build his own group. But he basically got the go ahead and do that. So now the grass troop is in full effect, is what they're calling themselves. Is in full effect. But unlike a lot of the other sects, they don't have a like main martial art that they all study. Since they can't learn his because he's not supposed to teach it.
Yes.
So that's kind of the thing that sets them apart from the other groups. He is kind of teaching it. He's doing a modified version of it. It's not to the same level that he's been taught. And I don't think they're getting like the herbal baths or anything like that. So I know you brought it up in the previous one, but I didn't get it. I completely like skipped it since I missed that chapter. With Dad and the one uncle who was the son of the father of the kid who got killed.
Yes.
And I didn't bring up the fact that like the nice bit that the story did slow down enough to actually go back to that whole issue for this moment, and then also to not have it be like, well, everything works out because all of the council members and all of the individuals can like use logical thinking here and seeing like, okay, the situation, the damage, what was going to occur, and this kind of forgave him, like he was not in the wrong. This is going to be excused because there was no way that this wasn't going to work out in a bad light for what was going on. But the fact of that they have that little side moment of him running into the uncle, and the uncle basically like throwing hands, getting pissed. It's like, yeah, and him not fighting back because he's like, okay, this is exactly how I would respond if my kids were, you know, done in this way as well. Yeah. And then he comes down and like, you know, there was nothing I could do, and then he punches him to show him the amount of damage that the kid had, even more so, you know, not to the killing extent, but like, how would, you know, like, you can't breathe right now. Save yourself.
This was your son. Did you, and this was him the entire time. Would you not have killed your son?
Yeah.
In order to prevent like him suffering.
Yeah. Just the fact that the story would like go to that level of like, let me show you exactly what this was like, you know, to even do that, even if it is as gross as like, I'm killing a child. It's not like I did it without any thought, completely calloused, without any thought of what's happening here. I didn't just do it and walk it off. He carries all of that with him all the way through up to this point, even though he can go home and smile at his own kids. You know, it's like, it's not out of his mind. He still lives with that like horrible thing that he had to do. So I do like that they add that, they actually talked and added that to his character. So definitely a big plus up for the writer and the artist on that great scene for there. But yeah, I don't want to go too far on that one to hold up on it. But after all of that and him starting the new sect, basically he's using this in order to earn or more or less gain political standing so that they can take on the second son for what he did, and using them as pawns for this. Now, this kind of made me wonder, and also wanted to question you, has this basically is he completely just forgotten his the request of his master to never get involved in the mirror world, and now this is basically 100% him stepping into that?
I think I don't know if he forgot about it. It's more like he realized that his arms are not large enough to protect what he has.
Okay. So this is more or less him just coming to that reasoning of, yes, I can be the strongest, but I can't be in every place at once. So I'm now in, like, there's too many people to protect.
Yeah, his scope is too large now. It's what it is.
Okay. So, I mean, granted, I didn't see him like have any like turmoil or inner dialogue about like, is this the best path to go? It seemed like he was just ready to go full steam ahead with that plan of like, okay, I just have too many people. There's no way, and we basically need to get justice for not only Ak, but also, you know, we said Il Choi and a few of his other brothers that died in this fight, and it's simply because that, you know, they're hired warriors, or they're, as he called them, vagabonds or goons. You know, they're expendable. So, I kind of want to see if going forward, if he'll like acknowledge that, because like you said before, with the one guy just standing by the pond and saying, you know, will he regret this path? Like who he was talking about. Does that seem now more to make sense that he was talking about him? Because he knew he knew he was gonna create his own sect.
I don't know. That's why at that point I'm like, who is he talking to? Because I'm like, at this point I'm like, how does he know that this was done? Because
I mean, well, we know that the one that the go-between that they had, who was also working for the other son, we know that his advisor was actually working for the other guy. So he was feeding him all this information. So there's a chance that he knew what was going down, and this is more or less him trying to put that into place. Because, I mean, he was the one responsible for the Iron Demon in the first place. That was one of his cards.
Yes.
And then it got taken out, but he was there with Now at that time too. So he potentially also knows that Now is an Iron user. So you think that he's, but he's competent. So you think that he knows this and he's using him to basically replace the Iron Demon? Like, well, I couldn't control this one, but this one is competent and also has if not more power. So this was maybe the long play.
His whole long play is to disturb the entire the power of balance of the mirror world in order to get rid of it. So,
but I mean, now as someone who was told to never get involved with it, and the more people that he runs into that are a part of it, more or less just keep fucking with him. So why wouldn't he be someone who also doesn't want the mirror world to exist, just because it constantly causes all these problems, or at least a shift of it, so that you don't get these sects that are able to like use other individuals or bicker about, you know, very meaningless and completely insane stuff, just so that they can gain power over something that they themselves can't even control.
Yeah.
You moved your health, but you didn't talk after that.
Oh, I said maybe. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, that's and granted, at the same time, it's like, I don't know if this guy knew about him before to be able to put that plan, but this dude also seems to be like 100 steps ahead of a lot of things that are going on. So I'm not sure what his entire, you know, scope of miniature little maps of plans are happening right now. But
you thought you knew, but I knew that you knew that I knew that you knew, right?
Blah 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 blah. Yes. Just that long back and forth. But yeah, I mean, just looking at that full outline, it's like, okay, so was this really the entire goal after this, and you just like moved that around, or the fact that he did all this either to get him to like go against his master's own wish of like, yeah, just don't get involved in that, it's not important, and now he's like, no, I'm all in because this is the only best play I have to go forward. Yeah, but we did get at the end of the chapter, we did get a reappearance of our old captain as he's bringing him out of retirement, because
hey bro, I'm not good at
because showing off like, I'm not good at handling administrative work, it's just not his strong suit. I punch real good, but I don't really know anything else. So he got the other person that he knows is real good at being smart and put him in charge, and you know, left himself to be vice captain, which I'm gonna guess is kind of like a very not truly as low level title as it is he'll still technically be the leader, but in name recognition only, he won't be.
Yes,
he'll still call all the shots,
something like that.
Yeah, so he's at least now got his one brother now a part of the fold permanently. I don't know if now that he started the sect, we'll actually start to see some of the rest of his old crew start to make their way in. I'm kind of wondering if the water demon will actually show back up now. Since he brought up that whole part of that storyline that, you know, the reason that the two masters hung out together is because they're the opposite of each other's abilities, and they more or less repel it back and forth. So I figure eventually he's gonna need that repellent force in order to keep his powers in check, since they are slowly starting to come out more and more.
We'll see. I have no idea what's going on.
I mean, you can always guess. Guessing is not admonished here, so it's fine. What's up?
Didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. You moved your mouth again.
I was just, you know, like stretching.
You're stretching your mouth. Yeah, it's okay. Just making sure. All right. I'm trying to think for anything else that happened in that chapter besides that. I know the kids got basically a new, more or less older brother / training partner.
Kind of. Yeah.
Kind of. And our girl showed back up to continue her scheming notion of trying to get now on her side, at least.
I'm sorry. This is the part where I'm like, wait, how long has it been since the dad's been back, and like the wedding hasn't happened yet or anything? Because wasn't what's his name supposed to like also have returned already or something shortly? Like, right? Because
he still had another, I think he had another year or so left, right?
Was it?
I'm pretty sure he stated like he was going to get out soon, but it was still like another year or so before he would be returning back to town. So I don't think it's been that long that he's actually back in. You can check and look for it to be sure. But I think
I don't remember, but like that's why I was kind of confused. I was like, weren't they supposed to like
get married?
Yeah,
well,
or like
forced,
or at least have that plot start
coming together.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's been enough time that's passed since he left the he left the monastery, because I don't think it's been like another year or so. It's only been maybe another month of him traveling to get back home. I don't think it's been that long. We can take a look later, because yeah, I'm pretty positive that the guy still has another year, and I'm sure if anything that's going to be something that comes up later on, since she's trying to get him to actually like acknowledge her, and he's pretty much not going with it because, you know, I'm an old man. Why the fuck are you doing this? So yeah, I think that they want to focus at least probably a little more on this next bit before they probably introduce that, because I'm sure that's going to be a whole thing on its own with you know, him coming back and he's like, I don't want to marry you, I want to marry him, and you know, him getting now to convince her, and you know, it completely turning into something else.
I guess.
I mean, they've been pretty good about not having too many simultaneous storylines running all over the place. They usually keep a couple going, but they're all going at a pace enough that we can understand, and it's not just like, hey, here's some loose bit and we'll maybe come back to that 30 chapters down the road. So we'll see. Anything else though for Peerless Dad that you wanted to talk about or bring up? No. I know we did see Flying Sis show up, and that she is around as well. So they haven't gotten rid of her, so I'm glad for that. Did not see the twins again, so I don't know if they're just out of the story now because, you know, Pops is more front and center, but we'll see. All right, let's go ahead on and move on to our next one, up into the world of solo leveling. Got 2 chapters here for this. I think we're getting close to an actual end because we're pretty much at the point of the final battle, or at least one of the main final bosses has appeared.
Something like that.
What's up?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So the gates that were appearing all over the world, specifically now the one in Korea, there was another one in Canada, but massive gates that appeared have basically the actual breaching has started to occur. And before that had happened, our home MC made an announcement that, you know, everyone and anyone who's near a gate should just run, stay away from the gates. You know, he showed off his power very quickly, and the fact that he himself can also expand gates on his own, out of his own will, showing off that, you know, whatever's coming through the gate is going to be more powerful than anything else that any of you have faced since then, because this is basically the extinction level that's coming. And of course, a bunch of other hunters basically took that as, oh, you're just trying to monopolize our shit, fuck you. But very quickly they all get rocked as the Monarch of Dragons makes his appearance and just fucking completely burns and razzes all of Canada.
Yes.
I don't know if they had to roll a dice out of what country that they were going to burn in the webtoon, but either way, I guess Canada was on the short list. Yeah, so all of the hunters are pretty much now KO'd, and the rest of the world basically got a front row seat to watch that. So I don't know exactly who else is up to fight, but
I tried telling you. Why did you believe me?
Does anyone ever believe the hero when, you know, they say some shit? Come on. But before he makes a run over to Canada, he does make a visit to the madam in order to ask her to use one of her abilities, and that is to see into his future. And very specifically, more or less, he's trying to see if he actually wins, or if he if he at least gets somewhere.
Yes.
You know. And she more or less basically gives off a clairvoyant, tells him that he's going to take on everything by himself. And he's like, oh good, at least I don't die right away. So we know the battle is pretty much going to be solo a mano all the way through, hence our title. We do get a surprisingly not a moment of him like calling his mom or his sister and telling them to like be safe or something, but he calls our homegirl and like more or less promises does the hero thing of, I will see you again, I cannot die.
Kind of?
I mean, that's kind of what it is, because it looks like at the end they're all gathered up and they look like they're just about to take on another gate. I don't believe it's the gate for Canada, but it looks like another one. While he just more or less heads off to face the Monarch of Dragons by himself. So
somewhat, yes.
So somewhat like that. Yeah. Nothing else really to contemplate on there that I can think of. I know we did see a shot of, I believe, Andre just sitting in his office. No, that wasn't Andre, was it? It was the guild head who was sitting in his office of the U.S. Hunters Guild, sitting in and drinking because he's pretty much like, yeah, we're all gonna die. It doesn't matter anymore.
Just listen.
It doesn't matter, but he did get the I forget what they call them, the artifact from the one dragon, and he said basically that these are just tools that are given by the rulers to make us stronger so that we can kill the monsters more, but that in turn just, makes everything worse, and then the perpetual cycle of bullshit, yada yada yada. But he's going to use that in order to take on the King of Dragons.
Something like that.
So he has his special weapon. So the question is will this play out exactly like the story would dictate of, big bad versus big hero, or do we see this possibly going exactly in the manner of, well, nope, actually he's going to use this to go and take on the rulers directly because fuck them. Nah. Yeah. I mean, I know that even if he does defeat the Monarch of Dragons, he still has to take on the rulers, since we know that his previous self is more or less leaving him with that task, since they're not going to just let the world be as it is, since this is their entire goal in the first place. Or we actually don't know why it is that they need mana, really, correct?
Not really yet, no.
We don't really know exactly the purpose of their situation, since they just wanted to end the war between themselves and the monarchs, because it was basically Charles Xavier playing chess because he was bored. Yes. So we don't really know what their entire goal is beyond that. Do you see him actually taking on the monarch, or do you see him potentially even just trying to subjugate him as well? Well, actually, I don't know. He can't subjugate the monarchs, right? He tried and he failed. Correct?
Technically, he did subjugate a monarch, because the dragon there was a monarch, right? Like the first dragon.
The first dragon that, yeah.
Yeah, right? Because
he failed that one. It failed because it was too long ago, but it didn't technically fail. Yeah, okay, I guess you're right. But he tried it on one of the other ones and it didn't work, right? Because he couldn't, because they were supposedly, it wasn't the real.
It's like
really
they're
them.
like, yeah, it's
they're
not
like,
really them. It's like
their
an
shadows.
avatar of them. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think there are like. You could, but you also can't, depending on what the ruling is. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think. Whatever. It's arbitrary for whenever it can be.
It can be. Yes, it can be
like, oh look, I've now reached another level and I can do it. Like that's what we're probably gonna get to.
Yeah, it can be written out and figured out later on to make the story more enhanced if need be, since it hasn't been entirely defined at this moment. All right.
Through the power of friendship.
Oh God, no! Not that. Not the power of friendship that just fixes all issues. Well, we'll have to see. I don't know how much longer we have left in this. I think Seraph was reading the novel, correct?
Yes.
I believe so. I guess he would probably have more info if this is pretty much close to an actual end. I'm sure that
it's not.
I'm sure there would be multiple posts everywhere about like, oh, it finally ended, or it ended and this is, people just talking shit. So we'll see. I'm sure there's more nonsense to come as we get further in here. Even more crazy bullshit that we haven't seen. Anything else though on those two chapters with solo leveling?
No.
All right. We'll go and move on to our next one then. You want to take this one with Skeleton Couldn't Protect the Dungeon? 2 issues.
Yeah, we have it where Skeleton meets up with Rubia again, along with Isaac. They go through a bunch of books, and at some point they kind of discover that, oh hey, we shouldn't mess with the Emperor because there's some sort of secret behind his heritage or whatever his bloodline is. And then she points out that, you know, hey, this was the pages of the spell I read to wake you up is this, and when the skeleton reads it, the spell then falls apart. But then it also has it where it's revealed that he gains a +1 to his intelligence. So it is connected to Ashton, and this is where it kind of continues, where it has it where he's now determined to find out more about if there's anything left in the library that might be anything like this. And they suspect that it's weirdly coincidental that there was a spell that specifically woken up just him and not any other skeleton. Like the spell is purposely made just for the skeleton.
Well, it wasn't even that it was just purposely made for him. This was definitely a massive exposition and web of everything story, but the fact is that the spell was made to work regardless of who said it. Because the idea is that even if you have a spell, if you don't understand exactly how magic works or how the spell itself kind of comes together, it won't do anything because anyone can just have it. So they have to have some connection or understanding of necromancy or whatever magic they're going for. But Rubia was able to use it instantaneously.
There are rules to magic to this world, but this magic spell bypasses whatever rules it is.
Yeah, it just worked.
It writes the rules.
It just worked for you, regardless.
Yeah, it just worked. Yes. But more than importantly than that, they also suspect that there is some sort of like
there is a reason.
Yes,
to why it was not only a spell that worked to resurrect him, but also that Rubia herself was the one to use it to wake him. So
yes.
Yeah, so it all came down to, after just this really long explanation and web of all things connected by Isaac, that Ashton is actually possibly responsible for orchestrating everything that's kind of going on. His resurrection, him finding Rubia, him finding Isaac, all of this might be like his doing in some way. Like he knew that all of them would come together. He knew that they would find these books and all of that.
Yes.
And yeah, the idea for it behind it is kind of like, what? Since we haven't really been given too much information on who exactly he is, but
kind of, I guess.
I mean, there hasn't really been much information given to us about like exactly who he is or what he does or his importance at all, even to the world itself. But Isaac has, Isaac brings up the fact, like, yeah, the reason like he's trapped in the form that he is because he pissed off the gods. But he goes over like, well, do you know why that was? And he goes, well, yeah, you had a bunch of fucking orgies in their temple and it pissed him off. I'm like, are you kidding me? Have you seen some of the people who are in charge
have you seen these priests?
Yeah, have you seen
and these 7-year-olds? And I was like,
why?
Really went there.
Why did they go there like that? Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, the people that they like put in charge are far more disgusting than I am. Why would they even care if I did this in their church? Yeah, no.
Rule number 1, Isaac lies.
Rule number 2, Isaac can't lie. Yeah. So coming all the way down to that he himself seems to have some knowledge of who Ashton is, and he respects him at least because he believes that he's someone who is outside of whatever system that is currently in place. And he wants to get outside of that system, and apparently his punishment is because he tried to do that, and that pissed off the gods.
Somewhat. Who knows?
Supposedly, like, yeah, I tried to look behind whatever curtain there is, and they didn't like that, so this is what they did to me. But Ashton is apparently someone that completely subverts or works outside of the rules of the gods and everything else, and can do these things that shouldn't technically be possible. But I don't know if it's not the king, and it's not the king, but the organization that controls that shadow group is supposedly the reason that they at least keep running into, or have run into, the skeleton is because they're supposedly watching for any weird things that happen, and they now believe it's specifically weird things that are now directly in line with Ashton, and that's why they keep appearing, is because they're trying to keep those things from occurring. So there is also a group of enemies that know of Ashton, or at least have some inkling of of someone doing something that they need to be aware of, but I don't know if it is another god, since we still haven't met all of them. Well, basically any of the gods we've met so far have all been assholes, since I don't think they've been one that didn't try and recruit the skeleton, kill the skeleton, or do something to him.
Maybe?
Yeah. Well, we know before all the gods that he served were, because he was working for the succubus, and she worked for one of the other gods, who supposedly in, like, what is it, 100 years or 50 years, they're supposed to completely destroy the entire island anyway, or all of the nation, in a giant, like, war.
Something like that.
Something like that? Okay. Yeah. So, all of that explanation from Isaac. Do we, was there anything else that they came out to from that? Because I know that Rubia started saying something.
Oh, Rubia said that she'll take care of her side of the kingdom. She shows determination to do it her way now, but then she also tells Skeleton to go do whatever he needs to do, and if she needs help, she'll call on him.
Okay, yeah, that's right. But yeah, her plan is to basically kill her uncle.
Yes.
Which hasn't been a personality tick that she's had before.
Yeah, kind of, no, because the Skeleton pointed out before, it's not like, yeah, but like...
But this isn't completely the same Rubia I was with before.
No, he pointed out that it's not like he really knew Rubia before. Like, he never asked, like, would you really kill your uncle? Like, that question never came up before, because it was more like we are trying to survive before, instead of like, you're now in a position where you can actually go forth and actually do what you need to do.
You can actually have agency. And it isn't just about, all right, I need to live one more day. So.
Yeah, it's just the circumstances have changed, and he realizes that, oh, was this always something about Rubia that I didn't know? Because I never bothered to ask whether or not, like, do you really care whether or not we kill your uncle? Like, that question never came up, because it was never in a situation where, like, he can physically put her in this situation. But now that time has, like, restarted itself enough times, where Rubia has now set herself in a position where she could do that, then she's like, yeah, we can just do that now, because I'm now in a position.
This was part of the plan, right? Yeah, he needs to die because, well, one, he's a bad person, and he's gonna try and kill me anyway, so, I'll just take care of this for you. And granted, after Rubia's previous position of her being monsterized, I wouldn't be surprised, because they said that she does remember some things from each regression, so this may have been a pickup from her, like, okay, I need to actually be a little bit more preemptive on what's happening and not just kind of let things occur as they are. So
yes, maybe.
I mean, it could be. And granted, Isaac is pretty much in the path of, like, we just need to complete whatever quest it is with Rubia so we can get to the next levels and get you further into the story, since, he's already completed it with what's her name from the guild, and that's why he never, resets back to go to meeting up with her again, at least if need be. I'm trying to think past that, but so Rubia is now pretty much gonna take care of things in her kingdom, and she's going to become the new lord of the area, and
she's gonna be the default. Yeah,
she'll be the default lord because her uncle will be gone. Leonardo he fed information to Leonardo about the snake dude. So now
the snake dude and the jewel.
So now that's pretty much taken care of on its own level. He doesn't have to worry about that. Since he already got Isaac, that means he made it into the one Duke's castle, and that guy should be saved, I believe. That cleared his goal, so they shouldn't he
won't be sacrificed to Isaac.
He won't be sacrificed to Isaac, or he won't be sacrificed to the weird monster thing that they end up putting in the castle later on. So
you mean the worms?
The weird worm thing, yeah. So
maybe.
Yeah.
The worms are still a problem because they're still duplicating.
Yeah, I guess. So I mean, at least most of the immediate things he doesn't need to worry about too much. And I think
he just needs to find more power-ups now. That's all it is.
I mean, yes. Well, yeah. That and probably a few other people. He still needs to find, 2 more of those black cards?
Yes.
Because he's gotten...
That way he can gain access to everything, and then they'd be like, no questions asked, apparently.
Yes. He'll have unlocked the hidden treasure of continuous resources. He won't need to go anywhere else. And I mean, the one thing he's been pretty much constantly trying to get, at least especially from Isaac, has been the Lulilum. So it'll be funny if the final thing he gets after unlocking that is all right, now you have a supply of Lulilum when you need it. This is all you just needed to do. You needed to go on this 6-hour quest to find all of these random cards, and you'll complete the level. I don't know, but yeah. Was there anything else though in this chapter that we got?
No.
Because I don't know if they stated at the end what the next goal is, other than Rubia killing her uncle.
No, not really.
Okay, so yeah, we haven't gotten any info on where they're headed to next, or at least what the new quest line will begin with.
The quest is to just continue what they were doing.
Okay, so just find more books on Ashton?
Yes.
Granted, they have no idea where those books are, since most people don't keep them, or they're hidden.
No, I think it's more than just they're hidden. It's it looks like definitely the kingdom takes them. So
the emperor may have a stash of them.
Yeah, they get rid of anything that's connected to Ashton, right? That's why they have the worms, and that's why they came into that kingdom in the first place. It's suspected that they came in to find anything related to Ashton anyway.
Okay. So yeah, find the remaining pieces of Ashton, as well as finding these. What were they called? They weren't called disciples. What were they? Those individuals that he needs to find that are somehow I don't know, they're guardians or something for Ashton.
No, they're not. We don't know if they're guardians. They're just some sort of clues that Ashton left out. See, he needs to find these 7 characters, right?
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know who
actually. Yeah, we don't know what kind of connection they have to Ashton.
Yeah.
They could just be you've collected the 7 puzzle pieces, then together they form a book or something. It could be something stupid. That's all it is.
It could be something stupid. I hope it is something stupid. Yeah. So we've still got a lot for him to kind of do. He's got a shit ton of side quests, and we still haven't figured out what the main quest is yet. So, looking forward to a few more chapters on this for sure. Any other questions though that you had on that one? Anything else you wanted to speculate on?
No.
All right. We'll go on to our next one. You can take this one as well, with our favorite princess in Inso's Law. Well, goddess, sorry.
Alright, so we have it where the main character in them have reached a weird world, and then we have it where the silver-haired kid is now.
Eugen.
Eugen is. We're now exploring Eugen's feelings to our main character here. Yeah, Danai. And we have it where he's kind of contemplating this, when did I first start feeling this stuff? When did because it's she points out before, they were very cold to her in the first place, and then at some point, he just changed. He changed his mind about it, and we find out that it was because of, hey, I got told that I don't really know anything about Danai, and maybe I should just have an open be a little bit more open.
Be a little open. Have an open mind instead of just,
because
buying
it was very much.
Oh, go ahead.
Because it was very much that they were trapped in the actual tropes.
The tropes of the world,
book, right? And that's why he was like, "Oh yeah, Dana is a bad friend because she treats the supposed main character of the story of the Inso's law like her Yoang. There you go. Like she's cold to Yoryang, even though Yoryang is like tries to be her best friend and stuff. It's like, maybe you should just like get to know her first and understand why she might be like that before we get anything, before you say anything bad about her. Yeah. And that's kind of the turning point. And now we're at the part where he has to go to a party at night, and then Dana is like, yeah, I'll go with you, and he's turning it. He doesn't really tell her there's a date, but he's definitely turning it into
It's clearly
a date.
The trope of the date, yes. It's slowly turning into a date trope.
Yeah, so like he takes her out shopping, and he tells her that, just pretend for the day, and then that's all it is. So she's pretending to be his girlfriend, and she's really awkward with things with it, and then
she keeps forgetting that it's supposed to be a pretend thing.
Well,
keeps,
I don't know if she's forgetting. It's more like she wasn't. She was expecting to just treat it. Yeah, she was just because he was like, oh yeah, just treat it like if it's my birthday, be nice to me. And then she's like, fine, I'll be nice. And then he's like, oh yeah, this is my girlfriend. And then she looks like, bitch, I did not sign up for this, but I told you I will be nice to you. You just wait till today's done. I'm gonna fucking kick your ass. Like that's basically what her,
I won't embarrass you now, but it's coming.
Yeah, like that's where it is. So, and then they have a moment where they're in the car, and it looks like he's about to kiss her, but then she's like, stop fooling around, and he's like, I kind of wasn't, but I'm sorry, I didn't actually take the initiative.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that entirely, so it's okay. Yeah. Getting history at least on his relationship and his personal feelings with her, and expanding more on that, and more or less it coming from a place of another person who already is more than anything was cold to everybody because he had a very troubled upbringing to himself. So for that one person who he trusted is like, oh, he's kind of like me, he just treats everybody coldly because screw it. For him to actually like take an interest in the Dana, it made him change his mind about it as well. Yeah, so just this nice side one-off of those two, more or less him trying to get close and her just trying to like keep things in check as much as possible. Not to mention we got a appearance of Ruda again, and another random person showing up and trying to more or less hit on Dana, and it turned out that this guy was trying to drug her.
Yes.
So she's still on somebody's shit list for some reason.
I don't know if it's on someone's shit list. It might have actually just been like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a rape drug. We don't know if that guy was like part of the shit list. It was just more like Rudolph stepped in and stopped it before it happened.
Well, Eugene, oh no, the other dude stepped in and stopped it from happening. Rudolph took the can and noticed that it was spiked.
Yes.
And wondered like why, she, even when she doesn't notice it, she's still being targeted. But the guy who did it walked away.
No, Rudolph is wondering how come, like, Rudolph's the first person to notice that there's something weird about Dana. Like, how come Dana always falls in, like, gets into these situations?
Yeah.
Like, Rudolph doesn't say anything about, like, oh, she's still being targeted. It's just more like, how come, like, circumstantially speaking,
how come she is being targeted so much? Just like, why?
It's the Doofenshmirtz thing where it's like, she's been attacked once and she's been attacked twice. If I had a nickel for every single time she got attacked or something, I would have 2 nickels. That's not a lot, but it's weird, right? Like, that's what it is, right?
Like, this is a small town. How is it that you keep, like, having these massively dangerous adventures, it doesn't really make any sense. Nothing else happens here.
Especially since Rudolph knows that like Deadeye does everything to avoid everything. So it's just looks and Rudolph's like, how do you keep tripping yourself like this? I don't understand. Something like, does the world just hate you or something? Like, so that's
yeah.
At least we have Rudolph who noticed.
Someone is logically looking at this like, this just seems awkward. Like, and granted, you would probably think, oh, it's because she's friends with, you know, the son of a very massive conglomerate. She's friends with, you know, this, the main character who's just turning heads. She has all these connections to these incredibly powerful people's kids. You know, okay, that kind of would probably, you know, make her like a target in some way. Especially for this kind of story arc as it is. You know, she would be someone easy that they could get a hold of and use as leverage. But she seems to be so intelligent that she noticed that those things are going to happen and she manages to avoid them pretty well, but they still keep occurring even though she kind of walks away from them. So yes, one of the characters is noticing that this seems very awkward. And I said that she was still on someone's shit list because the guy who was walking away says like, he says something to the effect of, what the hell? He said that this would be easy. Or they said that she would go, or, you know, there wouldn't be anybody else to get in my way. So they like knew that they were going strictly for Dan I, and they were set up to do so. So it wasn't just like a random kind of situation of like, I spiked this drink and I'm just going to find the first pretty girl to take it. And, you know, we'll see what happens from there. So I feel like she's being targeted intentionally by somebody else. I don't think it's been like made a comment as to who it might be, but so far every other season she ends up getting targeted by either a classmate or something else because of somebody in her group. So
like that.
So it just wouldn't surprise me that another person is out for her again just because. But yeah, that was pretty much all I got from those at least 5 chapters, since it was pretty much heavy on their little fake date out and the party that's going down, since I didn't understand what that was. So it's not really his birthday, it's his brother is returning home, so it's a party for him.
Yes, it's just, you know, it's an excuse for rich people to throw parties.
Okay,
and that's why he was like,
I didn't know if it was like actual some like,
I really don't want to go, but my brother is there, so I guess I have to go.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like some traditional celebration or like, oh yeah, the eldest is returning or something, and they needed to all like be present or something, because, you know, the other two said that they were also going to be there, but it was specifically because they're also family members in this giant business thing and they're not like related in any way.
It's just rich people being rich.
So it's just rich people being rich. Got it. All right. Just being sure. Yeah. Anything else though on those chapters that you had?
No.
Nope. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on here to our next one with our favorite game dev in Let's Play. 2 chapters came out for this one. I know I am actually one ahead, so I'm going to make sure I don't talk about that. But we left off.
Okay. First off, is it weird that like we have a character here who can read?
Okay. I wasn't gonna start there, but yes, I was gonna ask about that, if that was solely just like the thing before where, you know, she has her embarrassment and you see the light of, you know, the ring and the whole Lord of the Rings thing, and that's supposed to be just like, this is just a weird a weird imaginative thing to throw in so that, you know, we can get our point across of exactly what's occurring. But
no, it's like she's a real superpower.
She's straight up psychic, Jean Grey, and like has a real power. Like, I truly pull the emotions out of people and I can like feel them.
I can physically see
what it is, what the evil emotion is behind them. So I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to say with that exactly. I mean, granted, she's the one who's you know, yoga into clearly into some very deep spiritualism, you know, all self-healing kind of things. So I don't know if it's supposed to be something in particular, or they are saying something like, yeah, she has a superpower. Was that anything that you got from that? Like,
I have no idea what we're doing with this, because I was like, oh, okay. So at first I think it's just a meta thing for us to know what's going on. No, she literally can see it. Like, it is her superpower. And I was like, oh, okay. This is weird.
So will she be the stand-in for the audience? Like, so someone in the story actually kind of knows what's going on and all of how the people are acting, and they're just choosing to like not interfere, or they're just supposed to be like the silent protector just in case.
I have no idea. Like, it's just so real in this story, because no one else has superpowers. Okay.
Well, no one else is shown to. Yeah.
Even the part where like the gag where her dad is like also psychic, but that's like the gag of like, oh my I sneezed, so like someone's talking behind my back.
I get that. Yeah.
So her dad like always be like, oh, something's wrong with my daughter.
Yeah,
or,
he
like,
knows.
Yeah, so like that's a gag. That's not like an actual like
ability.
Unless we find out is this psychic power now, and like there are superpowers in this world apparently. Right, like if that's what we're going with, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we were hinting at that the entire time, and then now there's superpower genre, and I'll be like, I guess because it was set up that way, I just did not read it that way.
You didn't take it that way, so you took it figuratively instead of literally.
Yes. All right. So besides this weird anomaly of the superpower. All right, let's get back on track here. Where the story has it, where Charles has left it to our main girl here to like figure herself out. Be like, I'm not going to do anything. If you want something, you come and get it.
Yeah, you have to lead all the way.
And then we have it where, as this is happening, then Marshall's also having problems with his life, where too much stress with dealing with the fact that he broke up, and he doesn't know which face to show anymore. Basically, what it is, right? Because he's also dealing problems with like his self-esteem problems with his family, his previous trauma with his dad. And then we have the subplot where our girl here needs to ask Marshall about like, hey, can we talk to basically the Indiegogo devs, right? Yeah. Or like, because we want to sell them a product or and such. And she's not worried that it will fail, right? She's worried about
She's more or less worried about like communicating with Marshall, especially when she has like this beginning relationship with Charles currently ongoing. So more interaction with that, especially after her previous like dream. So she's kind of having this moment of like, I'm trying to do something with one guy, but now I'm also like having feelings for potentially another. So yeah, she's kind of being pulled in a lot of different directions, and yeah, her worry between that, and also for the fact that Marshall is responsible for still her trauma from the whole game thing, just to ask him for any kind of favor.
Yes. And then we also have it where we have the subplot with Link and the redhead and Link's brother working at the cafe.
I am happy at least for Link is at least, having a relationship elsewhere. We don't know, okay? Because how everything works here is a fucking roller coaster. So like this is like the slight high before we hit the down again. Probably.
So,
But I mean, this may be something more in line since, you know,
unless the writer like surprises me and then like we hit a high with this and then like, oh, this subplot is closed, and then the rest of the thing, it's like, oh yeah, the redhead and him are together, and like we don't have to worry about it. Just focus on the main plot. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We hit the end of plot point.
We hit that plot point in the plateau, and it ended the way we kind of wouldn't have unenjoyed with the way
because you gotta be careful with writing so many subplots here. All right, if we get too many subplots, you can't juggle everything. Okay, because even though how many chapters was this? 2, 3?
This was 2.
Yeah. So like we have 2 chapters so far, right? But the truth is, not the progress of the story has not actually progressed.
No.
Because a lot is dedicated to like the subplots, like the subplot of the friend who can obviously is fucking psychic. Then the subplot of Link, and then the subplot of Link's brother.
They started. The writer started actually adding in more of the subplots now with Jessica and Link, and then now, you know,
Link's brother, and then
Link's brother, and then we have the psychic.
And then we have Marshall's subplot, and then we have Charles's subplot.
Yep.
We have a lot of subplots here. And I get Marshall's and I get Charles' subplots because they are like, these are the two main
These are the
guys,
triangles, yeah. This
right?
is the intertwining.
So this is fine, but if you have too many subplots, we're going to have a hard time juggling, especially with like time reading. Like it's a pacing problem. So that's especially when Let's Play does this thing where like a good chunk of the beginning is a recap of what just happened.
Yeah.
So I don't, or it's a recap of like something that happened like several chapters ago, because like, hey, just so you don't forget this happened, so I had to go back and revisit this. So we're now on this part of the subplot, and I'm like, all right, I get, I can read, and I'm comprehending of what's going on. But if this goes on for too many times and we have too many subplots, then what are we doing? Because we also now know that like the psychic friend is in a somewhat relationship with the black friend, right? Because, or like some sort of relationship.
At least it seems that he's responsible for draining all of the emotional energy she's taking on.
Yeah, he's her respite.
Yeah.
So we know there's something going on there, but
something.
I don't know if I needed to know that. Like, does that progress the story in any way? Like, it's just, does anything here actually help progress the story?
I don't know if
like,
I don't know if it really progresses it as much as it's just trying to add more story to other characters to give them something else. Because so far, it's just been, you know,
I get
our psychic
like,
friend is just the psychic friend, and she's, you know, very she's very out there, she's very unique. And then we have the one black friend. He's, you know, the group leader, he's the alpha, he's the one that, you know, takes charge of things if need be. But beyond that, they haven't really done anything else outside of, you know, Samara and her gaming. So now that they're actually in the story more outside of that, it seems like they're trying to be added on so that they like have other purposes. Because you know, the fact of the matter is that even that we got more with Link, you know, his plot point was pretty much done after him and Samara basically came to that determination, like, no, we're going to be friends. That was more or less closed. So now that's been reintroduced with, you know, him and Jessica. So I think that's what they're kind of doing, is now they're giving everybody else, like, this is how everyone kind of interlocks with everybody, even if it isn't so much romantic ones.
I get that, like, our readings of like Let's Play is supposed to be like, this is a drama, and this is, and you know, just like how with
Inso.
Yeah, it's, I get touching. See, but with Inso's Law, where we focus on, we know who the main core of the cast is, and knowing their origins and their backstories and going through that stuff is perfectly fine. All right, because we know who the core cast is, and that's the thing here with Let's Play. We know who the core cast is, and we should be focusing on that. But like when we start deviating a little bit, like I said, we just have to be careful with like how far we deviate from the main plot, because I get the fact that like everyone is the main character of their own story.
Yeah.
But that's the problem here, is that even though you're the main character of your own story, in someone else's story, you're
the sidekick.
you're not just the sidekick. You're the MacGuffin. Okay, you're just a tool to progress the story. Okay.
I'm glad I can be a tool for you, buddy.
I mean, yeah.
You added so strong words to that.
What do you want me to say?
Nothing at all, and that's the important thing.
Okay, so you know, so let me see here. What else have I read that does this better? Let me double check really quick. I think what I read that did this much better is it's a story on Webtoons called Devil Number 4. All right, where we know what the main cast is, and we know what the the extras are, right? And what happens is once the main story with the main core cast is done, then it spins off the story, and it's like, hey, now let's focus on the story of the extras here, right? Of the side characters, right? And that is perfectly fine, because you know where the focus is. And here again, it's not that big of a problem yet.
It hasn't gotten to that point, and we don't know if.
But it feels like it's going to get to that point, especially the part where like we reopened Link, right? Like I get that like Link has his story with Jessica, okay, but I don't know if I needed to know that right now. Like I don't think you could have just left this part out, and I still would have been perfectly fine with not knowing where Link was with Jessica, because it doesn't progress the main plot here. Unless you're gonna do something really stupid later on and then have it again with Samara, like it just causing drama somehow.
I mean, I could see it potentially being that.
But why would it cause drama? Because I feel like Samara had closure on this already. So I don't think we could reopen that. If we didn't have closure, then I can understand this part. But we had closure there.
Yeah, unless it's more or less to set up conflict for something else. Like something else occurs that intentionally.
The only other way this works out is if you found out that was Jessica somehow related to Charles or something, or do you understand that? But I don't think that's possible, because we had Jessica interact with Charles before,
he's
right?
already met. Met Charles.
So it's not like we find out that Jessica was Charles's ex or something. You understand that?
Yeah.
So there's no extra connections between Jessica or Link to anyone in the core cast anymore, because Samara settled the thing with Link already.
Yeah.
Unless. It's just not necessary unless it's going to cause more drama later on, and if it does cause more drama later on, then it feels like it's created drama and not actual organic drama. Yeah.
I mean, we'll have to see, since a lot of it's more on your speculation. That's at least where things could be, because it could definitely be with basically having the side stories while the main plot is still going on. But we'll have to see, because I mean, out of all of it so far, they haven't done it for everybody. We still have the other member of their group that hasn't had any story time given outside of the game yet either. So this may be to a point where, at this moment, where they're setting up something that may have to do with Samara, or at least with this now added on a bit of what's her name and her fantastical unknown superpowers.
I also don't want it to see where we get to the part where we discover that the new guy that she's playing the
game with
this game with
the min-maxing
is a fourth guy. Okay, and then I'd be like, wait, why are we adding another love interest now? I don't understand why, because we were already juggling. Technically, we were juggling like 2.5 love interests already, because even though Samara is like closure with Link, it's not like she's like her emotions.
Yeah, it's not like her emotions may be done with it.
Has been dealt with, right? So that's why I'm like, why are we doing this, guys?
I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see, because even how it goes, Link has made at least his emotions clear for her, but it's not like they can't rewrite it so those change. And also the fact that, we've just gotten this thing now between him and Jessica, if that may lead into anything else.
Please do not rewrite it where Link's emotions change here. Okay, there's no point.
I didn't say there would. It's just a thought.
I'm just saying, there's no purpose to it.
If they're listening,
only open that wound. No
if
purpose.
they're listening, don't do this. As we all know, they mine us for all of our brilliant speakings and teachings. Just don't do this thing that randomly came out.
I feel like I talked enough shit about Ghana High School that Ghana High School had to take a hiatus to figure itself out. Alright? That was my work. Alright?
Now if you could only do it for some of the other things that happened, it'd be great. But no, only the important shit.
It is important.
Fuck off. Alright, any other thoughts though on this on these 2 chapters that we got so far? I know that Samara is still trying to do her best to seduction and temptrousness at opening up to Charles, and it seems like it's doing a pretty decent job, because he's kind of questioning a lot of things.
It's enough where I like the fact that she's like, oh wait, I have a perfectly good example with my parents.
Yeah,
and
she's using her dad and mom as a nice basis.
It's a nice thing to know that, like, at this point we know that Samara's parents are a good example of parents. They're not
of a healthy couple.
Yeah, of a healthy couple. If it turned out that they weren't, I'd be like, I don't know what we're doing here, right?
But granted, I don't know if that may backfire, since Charles's entire reasoning for the way he is now is because he thought he was in a healthy relationship as a couple, and that turned out not to be true. So there's also a chance like she may do something that reminds him of that time, and he pulls back even further. So I mean, that could even work against her in some ways. But yeah, I am glad to see Samara actually like using some of her other resources and knowledge to actually get a little more in on Charles, even though he's like seems like he's still being the one that's like the mature one, like I know how to do this, but being surprised that when she does come with the right stuff. So I am still wondering when we will go back to Marshall and some of his other issues, if we will even see his ex anymore, if she's going to make an appearance again.
I'm sure she will.
She will.
That's
how
drama that we left open on purpose.
Yeah. So I don't know how long it'll be before we get to that, especially since like you said, they added in this other new person that's playing this game. What if it actually turns out that the person they're playing with, or that she's playing with, is actually his ex?
I'd be fine with that too.
It's just her like just doing recon and getting to know her. I could see that being also a potential thing. But all right. Anything else though from you on Let's Play these chapters?
No.
Nope. All right. We'll go ahead. We'll move on to our next one, second to last, but still just as great. All the way into the Isles with Lord Olympus. The trial is still going down, and we are in the middle of our, I want to say, interrogation with Hermes. And what's up?
Something like that. Yes.
Something like that. More than interrogation, as much as it's just him throwing
Prattling
everybody under the bus and prattling on too.
Yes.
Yeah, so we did get basically a long-winded explanation of exactly how he met Persephone, and more specifically how he got blackmailed into keeping her a secret from the gods. Yeah, so Hermes, I mean, for how everyone treats him, he's not like a hated character, but at the same time, he's not liked by quite a few people. So it's good to see like him getting a little bit of revenge on some individuals, but his explanation, at least, of like doing some jobs for Thanatos, since he's always off doing something else, and him like basically stumbling into a river and Persephone being there, and and funny enough, it more or less wasn't even Demeter that blackmailed him as much as it was Persephone that blackmailed him.
Yes.
That she just basically is like, so you're gonna bring books. And it's more or less.
Oh, you're gonna do this. You're now my bitch.
Yeah, you're gonna do this because I need someone to talk to. So this is how we'll work this deal out. And yeah, him going through all of that's like, okay, so you were just kind of a victim of circumstance in a lot of cases, but also getting more for Persephone, like, oh, so because she's a little trickster as well, so it at least flows in the bloodline. The trial continues on as he goes through the story, and we get to the part where he is doing some deliveries, or going to go get some of going to do Thanos' job to collect some souls, and he wanders out and finds that there's a lot of dead people, and more than there should be, and he of course stumbles upon Persephone fully monsterized out, with blood on her, and all of the spirits are basically like condemning her that she's the one that killed them, and it's like, no, this is her powers are just running wild, and then explaining to the that like this is how he covered it up, and his plan is how to keep more or less Hades completely blind as to what was going on, and the other gods. Now from there, I believe after that it was Thanatos that was going to be taking the stage next for the next chapter, correct?
I think so.
I believe so. I believe it was him that was coming on this coming up to the stand next. But yeah, I do like Hermes walking off and going, hey, if I'm going down, I'm taking your ass down with me, kind of thing.
Yes.
So I don't know if in this and here he's gonna also maybe throw Mineth the plant under the bus, since a lot of this was, most of her emotional outrage more or less came from her messing around.
Yes.
More than anything. But I mean, granted, they haven't fixed her. She's still in plant form. I mean, they don't need to. I mean, they don't need to. I'm still waiting for what's his name, Apollo's mom, to either make an appearance again or whatever their plan was, since Demeter is in court right now.
Yes.
So I don't know what they're springing forth or what they've worked out with Zeus on the sidelines at this moment. But yeah, we still haven't gotten Persephone on the stand to at least like make testimony yet here to explain her side of the story. But I mean, outside of just the one, I don't want to say Norn, but the one lady basically giving the accounts of what occurred, and everyone basically rolling their eyes at how much bullshit it was. We still haven't heard, at least from Demeter yet, or Persephone, as to what they have to say on this whole thing. Yeah, we're pretty much still running through the trial as it is. I mean, there hasn't been too much like new information besides, at least how Hermes met Persephone. I haven't really heard anything like damning that they've come up with at this point.
Yeah, but the trial, is like a kangaroo court.
Yeah,
Like,
it's more a show.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a show. It doesn't make a difference because Zeus has already made his decision.
Yeah.
This is just because like Hades is involved, and like Zeus has to like play along. So like he's like, oh yeah, I did my due diligence. So we'll see how it goes because it's definitely just it's no skin off of Zeus's back. It's really what it is.
I mean, more than anything. Yeah. So I don't know how many other people are actually going to call up to the stand. I'm gonna guess probably the one attendant that Hades dismembered. Maybe. Since that, I'm sure that person is probably not too happy with him. Yeah. I'm still waiting for like at least more info to drop down to move the story out of the trial, or at least the overall like decision of what the trial is supposed to be used for. And that being, I'm pretty sure it's to like marry her off to Apollo. Since
I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen because Hades definitely was like, no, she's my wife. So
I mean, he did make those lines. Yes, he said those out loud. But if anything, just leaving for a reason for them to have a fight or a war over it. Because I'm sure Apollo's more than happy to like do some dumb shit like that. But
I'm just curious as to what the next piece of mythos is going to be like reinterpreted
or used. Yeah. I would be interested to see how that actually all plays out. Because, yeah, I mean, the redo for Apollo and what's her name, when that was shown off, I was like, oh, okay, this is a little better. Granted, I think you said you were still like, it should have been murder.
I think it's a cop-out to have it where she's like, oh, she's gone, but she's not
gone.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, I don't know if the trial has any mythological leanings towards it specifically.
No, what if the problem here is like this is conjecture from like how Persephone gets her name.
Okay.
Like there's no actual story of like if Persephone actually did this in the mythos. It is just that the name Persephone is weird because there's no indication as to where it came from.
There's no reason to why it changed.
If we're going by usual like human dogma, meaning like like humans are the ones who make the gods, therefore we don't know, in mythos and history, we don't actually really know how Persephone got her name.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more like, oh, Persephone has her name because she's the queen of the underworld, right? So she's the wife of Hades.
Yeah.
But we don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
Especially since there's only some loose connections that Cora is connected to Persephone.
Yeah.
This is a lot of abstract extraction from history and mythos.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only go with like what is hard mythos, and Persephone's story is kind of like soft mythos.
It's
not concrete.
Leaning.
It's very just interpreted however it's been wanted. So
okay, yeah. All right, so this will be more just written imagination.
The trial is new, all right?
Yeah.
There was no extra trial for Persephone because the truth is, if a god decided to go crazy and decided to kill a bunch of humans, Zeus would be like,
whatever.
They deserved it.
Whatever.
What?
He wasn't.
Yeah.
Zeus isn't a ruler for actual ruling.
Yeah, like Zeus is like, oh, they're humans. They deserved it. Like that's literally what it would have been. He'd be like, you know that like they had fire and then I took it away and then Prometheus came down and gave it back and I was like, bitch, please, all right.
I'll teach you.
Yeah, and when you look it up, that's like the reason why he took away fire in the first place was because they were supposed to offer Zeus offerings with fire, but then they trick Zeus because Zeus is like, hey, I want that cow. And they were like, we're going to trick him with something else. All right. And then Zeus is like, oh, you did that. Okay. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take away fire.
No fire for you.
And then I'm also going to make it so that your wife fucks a cow. And then it's been reinterpreted as like Zeus being the cow itself too. So like, you know, and this is how the Minotaur is made. There's a bunch of crazy ass lore that like weaves together.
Yes.
Like, all right.
The beginning weeb stories of the SCPs.
Yeah, the mythos behind a lot of stuff is weird. Once you like if you look up like the story of Pandora and Pandora's box. Yeah, we know that Pandora's the one who opened the box, but then when you start taking a few steps backwards more, then you're like, oh yeah, even though Pandora opened the box, you know that the gods made her, right?
Yeah,
like, you're like,
they intentionally did it.
They intentionally did it. They made Pandora, and they're like, they gave her the box on purpose. All right, here's that for her to open it. They didn't just like, oh yeah, don't open this thing.
They didn't do these two things and keep them separate. You know. Oh, well, we have to balance. It's like, no, let's do this, and then let's do this, and, well, this is your fault.
Yeah, like,
you did that.
You did that. But, like, it was, like, the gods who planned it in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so a lot of mythos gets, like, weirdly reinterpreted to be like, oh, yeah, it was a woman's fault all along, or, like, stuff like that. But, like, when you take several steps backwards to find more background for, like, a bunch of mythos, it's not always...
It's not as it's written. At least
yeah, it's not as it's written. All right, it's because it's through basically the history of telephone, right?
Yeah.
One person hears another, and it gets reinterpreted for the age where it's at. Kind of like how the reason why we have like Hades has like multiple names, and that's because Hades was not always Hades. He was a different name, and then that god just got wrapped up and got rebranded as Hades.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of gonna wonder, like you said, this is a lot of telephone. If we'll see when Thanatos takes a stand, if he tells a completely different story at the end of what Persephone did, comparably to like the first part of the story that we got from what the one nymph to Hermes' version of events, and then now Thanatos will give another version of events. If we'll just you'll get that reinterpretation all the way through, that like some of these things connect, but a lot of these things don't go the same way as you're saying. So yeah, I would like it, that would be actually pretty cool if it was like that's like how you brought when you say that, like, yeah, a lot of the mythos is retellings of the stories, but to either be reinterpreted for a different meaning or to get a different perspective out of it. And if this kind of works in that same way, like everyone's telling the story of Persephone and no one can kind of actually give us a real account of what's occurring for these events, and it's like, oh, so at the end of it, then they just give her a new name because they're just like, whatever it is now.
Yes.
Because we couldn't agree on the actual chain of events here. So that actually would be pretty cool at the end of it. I don't think I have too much else to ask right now until we actually until I actually read that next chapter to see what Thanatos has to say. I'm kind of hoping that, Hades just loses it and it's like, no, fuck this. With whatever Zeus kind of rules on. Because, like you said before, Zeus has already made his decision, and the whole trial is just for show.
It is.
Yeah. And or that Demeter just kills Zeus. Because she's more powerful than he is.
I mean, I would be fine with that, because at least that's like in turn.
This would be accurate as to what should occur. All right. If we don't have anything else on that one, we've got one more left with our greatest teacher in Descent of the Demonic Master. You want to close us out on this one, though?
We have it where the French team are like, hey, we give up, please don't hurt us. And then we have it where it continues off, where basically the European French Council are like,
they get the report back.
Report back, and even though they're like, we shouldn't listen to her in the first place, but they're also
One person
is like
one person.
I don't understand why there's one person either. This person wasn't like involved with anything in before too.
Well, no, they were the group that was sent. I believe they were his disciples.
Yeah, they're his guys, but it also doesn't make any sense because you're like, wait, I'm sorry. At what point did our main character slight you in actual any way for you to be like, you know what? Fuck these guys.
Screw that.
Like, wait, what? Why are we like this? I'm so confused as to what happened that we would lead up to this part.
He made fun of my honor, and he completely embarrassed me. That's why. No other reason. It's not like I didn't send a bunch of people to kill him because of random rumors. No, not like that. It's because he made me look like a jackass. So now I have to double down on my initial plan.
So stupid, honestly.
I know. That's pretty much the entire reason.
Because I feel like they had already doubled down once already, right?
Well, this was their first outing on that, because they sent her to basically, communicate with him. He was like, fuck you. So they decided, all right, our plan is kill you. And the entire Japanese team that got sent gets decimated. Their team gets captured, and the double down is, all right, we're gonna extra try hard to kill you.
Because that worked out so well.
I mean, when you fail at running through the door the first time, it's always good to try a third and a fourth and a 10th time, and eventually, you'll black out.
Yes.
Yeah. So at least their plan continuing forward is to try and kill him, but the one lady's dad basically sounds like he's gonna go off the books and say, fuck it, we're gonna reach out instead.
I've got to at least try, alright? Can I at least try?
I mean, out of all of them, at least one person is trying to use logic, or at least some level of understanding that maybe the monster that doesn't want to kill us probably shouldn't be poked. Just saying.
If only it was this easy.
Well, I mean, it didn't matter anyway, because the Red King gets the same news, and he basically just follows the example of the other guy.
I'm going to send this other guy, and I'm like, all right, I guess. That's what you really want to do.
I mean, Jinho has basically been like, I don't have any real training buddies, so good times are coming, if anything. Yeah, so he's now got the full attention of both organizations to send assassinations after him. I don't understand the logic as to why, but that's their plan. He's now also being trained by the French team to basically learn like spatial magic so that he doesn't have to carry his swords.
Something like that.
Because, being OP, you need to also have the convenience of not having to carry your own shit.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Yeah, so he's doing that. He's also training a new group of disciples.
Which they look like they're dead, because they're like...
Or dying.
Oh no, we can't do this. And he's like, bitch, please.
I'm giving you the easy version. Yeah, so he's got that going on. I believe the girlfriend is she in China? Or
Well, she's not the girlfriend, she's the love interest.
okay, sorry, the love interest is out of the country right now, correct? Or is
Yes,
she okay?
She's at China.
She's in China, and we've still got well, the orphanage is pretty much on its own thing right now. That doesn't need to take care of. Is he still running the pizza business? I haven't seen him go back to that in a little bit.
I think it's still happening. I have no idea where it is.
Okay, so that's somewhere else in the corner. Because right now it's basically been him dealing with association matters, and granted, that's mostly been I really wasn't paying attention, so you figure it out. What else we got? I think that covers about everyone in the book right now. Mom and dad aren't really an issue. Sis isn't really anything to deal with. Well, actually, no. His sister is an idol right now, correct? Yeah. So.
Yes.
So she's either on break or she's doing idol shit. So he doesn't really need to worry about that at this moment. Because he's more or less he's doing the same thing that Now is and needing to get his own group set up and started so he can protect the rest of his family.
Something like that, yes.
Something like that, yeah. So, yeah, was there anything else amiss in those two chapters outside of just the associations making very, very stupid decisions?
No, nothing else.
Yeah. I'm still wondering, so since he is making his own sect, kind of, or he's training his own disciples, I'm wondering when his other disciple is going to show up, because I thought he was also doing the same thing elsewhere.
Gathering all the demonic
Yeah, he was gathering all the demonic practitioners that were currently training. So I'm kind of wondering when they're going to show up.
No. See, that's the part where we get it, where like the red demon, the red king, is talking to his guys, and his guys are like, they don't seem like they're connected at all. You realize that like one's in China and the other's in Korea, like it's just coincidental, right? And the red king is like, no, I'm right. And then we're just going to get to the part where later on, when like the demonic organization shows up, and they're like, "Oh, he's actually our real leader all along." And then,
but I mean,
he's like, "See, I was right all along."
I mean,
I feel like that's where that's going.
I mean, it's like, well, he's not wrong. He's like, it's
not
just
wrong.
This is just coincidence. Like, it's kind of not.
But the thing is, like, the Red King is. This is just. He's not wrong.
But it's feeding into his delusion.
It's not a delusion, right? You understand? It's weird. It is a delusion to the Red King. He is completely right, though.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's just that there's just no evidence, and he's just like, no, it's my instinct. I know it for a fact.
Well, because
right?
I mean, he himself hasn't faced any other demonic users, really.
No,
because there haven't been any.
We also know that the Red King is like part of a group that was like, we have to stave off the demonic practitioners.
Well, he's like
that.
He's like the ancestor.
It might be his return or something like that.
He's a descendant or like one of the ancestors from one of the groups.
Yeah, so they know of the demonic.
Yeah, they know of the demonic practitioners. Yeah, so yeah, he's been fed that through most of his life, probably. That if it's demonic anything, just snuff it, get it done with. You know, we don't want to handle that. So the moment it's reappeared, he's just falling onto that lore. And now this must be a problem. They're clearly going to do something bad, but he doesn't have any like real world evidence of them doing anything terrible. Because I mean, one appeared, but it's not like he went out and he killed a bunch of people or he caused a bunch of fights. They're all happening to him and he's just defending. And then now these other demonic practitioners are appearing, but they're not doing anything. So this is a case of all of the supposed good people are not thinking and they're just reacting because
I think
they're told.
I think at least with the Red King, where his position comes from, it's perfectly fine. It's the French where I look and I'm like, I don't understand why though. Do you understand that? With the Red King, he's going by with everything he's been told from before. Fine, I get it. Cool, I get it. All right, he's not wrong that demonic practitioners are definitely crazy most of the time. So fine, I get it. But like for this part though, I'm perfectly fine with him being like he's an instinctual ruler and not a like I actually think about things, because he's very much more like might makes right kind of person. So fine, I get that. He's a fucking musclehead. Okay. But for like the Europeans, the French people, who were like, all right, we're smart enough to send someone to go check on him, and this person tell us to not attack him because he's not a threat, but we're going to attack him anyways. And then I was like, okay. If you were going to do that, what was the purpose of you sending someone to go check on him in the first place?
Why send the envoy in the first place at all?
Yeah, right? I understand. All right, if they had just sent a group to go, like the Japanese people, like the Japanese group, they were just like, no, send ninjas, and then they show up and they're like, yeah, we're here for revenge. I'm like, oh, I get where the Japanese people are coming from, because they're just here for revenge.
Yes, there's no plan of like, we're doing this because of unknown reason or because we're afraid. We're like, no, he killed our man. Fuck that person.
Yeah, see, even the Japanese people have a very good reason to be like, no, fuck the main character, right? But the French people have no reason at all. He has not slighted them in any way at all beforehand, and that's why I was like,
he didn't accept their cigarette and cheese.
Yeah, right? Like, I'm like, for what purpose are you doing this for? Like, even if you have pride, I don't even understand, like, where that pride went, like, goes from here. But like, all right. So what was your plan? Like, you got told not to do this, yes, and then you're going to initiate a war with them. Okay. What is your game plan here? I need to know what your end game is here.
He gets a bunch of new friends. I mean, this is pretty much how he's made friends. He's beaten the crap out of people, and then they become his friends.
Oh no, that's the main character's end goal, I guess.
I mean, that's the end goal for everybody. It's like, well, okay, we're gonna go against you. Oh, we lost. All right, you want to be friends?
You know, I'm going to kill you now, right? What? But we can be friends. Yeah, got that. You were given that chance.
You were given that chance
twice.
But I know stuff that you could use. Oh, okay, cool. We can be friends.
But not you. What? You're the one who said these guys are just minions. I can learn the same shit from them. It's fine. What? But no. I only need one alive.
I mean, yes.
You realize, all right?
The heads will all die, but the minions will live, so that's fine. Because
see, is this the part where like he eventually takes over the French, and then the Chinese are like, "See, I was right."
It just feeds more into the Red King.
The Red King just more
slowly more insane. I mean, it could be. It could all be a plan to just feed into the insanity of the king. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, if anything, it's the same thing that was slowly occurring with his, the Blue Demon. I'm just seeing more and more of, like, these things occur, and I believe you're just going insane, so you need to be stopped.
I don't know. We'll see where this goes.
We'll have to. So we'll see what new things transpire for Jinho, because the Red King sent a friend and a person he beat who's also, I guess, close to his level. So
yes,
I would say if this goes exactly the way I think it will, it'll probably just be, well, the Red King will be like, maybe we should negotiate. Let's talk.
No, I think it's going to happen when he beats him, and then the Red King. Actually, I actually don't think, like, this guy actually seems very.
I mean, he seems intelligent. He asked, like, okay, what's it like in this country?
Yeah,
what do you know about the main character?
What makes Korea so special? Like, what is so cool? Like, what's cool here? All right, what is about this guy that I had to fight? And then he'd be like, this guy doesn't seem like a bad guy. What do you want me to do with him?
Yeah,
well, he's a demonic practitioner.
So?
He hasn't done shit. Like, I'm so confused what you need me to do here.
Yeah, you'll just get to the fight and be like, I don't even know why I'm fighting you. You're not doing anything.
Or like they fight because like it's like, oh, you're strong and I'm strong, and then
let's do a test of power. Yes.
Right, and that's really what that seems like it's gonna go. And he'd be like, man, I'm just gonna go tell the Red King to leave you alone because like you don't do shit. It's like I just want to chill here. Can you just leave me alone?
Or maybe he'll join him. He'll be like, it's really nice here.
Everything is just a coincidence.
More than anything. A story of coincidences. All right. Anything else though left on that chapter, on those chapters for Demonic of the Descent of the Demonic Master?
No, that's it.
All right, we'll go ahead and we can close up this episode. Thank you everyone for joining us for our current episode of the Project Webtoons podcast. As always, you can find us on both Spotify, you can find us on Apple Music, you can find us on multiple different platforms. You can also hit us up in the links just down below. You'll find our Facebook link as well as our Discord, so you can chat, see what we're up to. Yeah, as always, of course, it's your big man is Sleepy.
And this is
Hey, everyone take it easy out there.